Hello, everyone, and welcome to Top of Mind with Ann and Rachel. My name is Rachel Profitt. I am a white female. My pronouns are she, her. I've got red hair that's down today, a little bit curly. I'm wearing a blue shirt, and I'm in my office as usual with my epic sticker wall behind me. Ann, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ann Krupke. I am also a white female. I've got shoulder length brown hair. My pronouns are she, her. I'm wearing a black shirt today. And I'm using a virtual background because my office is a mess.
Hey, it's life. This whole work from home thing, it's like the norm now for so many people. And I think it's okay to use a blur background.
Yeah, totally. I would not survive without mine.
They say that it's best practice to actually like have a clean background. And I feel like my background is like the literal opposite of a clean background. It's like literal chaos, which is kind of like the inside of my brain, right?
I occasionally get distracted and look at the different stickers that you have, but I think it's pretty cool. It's amazing. All of the different places you've been to collect all those stickers and all the work that you've done. It's like seeing your history behind you every day. Like
I
very
know. I have got a pretty amazing pile over here. I'm trying to like unbury it. I'm just gonna lift it up and show it to you because I don't think I've shown this to you. Um, of additional stickers that I have not put on the wall yet.
I don't think that's enough, Rachel. Like I think you're gonna have like some white space there that you're gonna need to fill.
Yeah. So, how about we talk about whatever's top of mind, Anne? What's top of mind for you today?
Um, well, I guess it's a couple things for me. One, production, everything production, because we are kicking off our production tech talk series next week. So, and we got a ton of really positive feedback on the announcements we've made about it. So I'm excited to get going on that one. And it's probably my favorite topic to talk about. So um, that's super fun. And then we also had our first meeting today, or not today, but yeah, Monday with all of the speakers for Dynamics Con Live in May. And it seems like it's going to be a really great group for F&O this year. So I'm just getting really excited about presenting again. So, yeah.
Well, and I think you're doing the dry run tomorrow.
For the tech
Like
talk for production,
internally?
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
we're
saw
like,
that on my calendar. I am excited for it. So,
yeah. I can't imagine doing a presentation and not asking you to review beforehand.
well, what is top of mind for me? And I see that Molly is here. So hi, Molly.
Hi,
Thanks for
Molly.
joining us. I've got a cool little banner I'm gonna put up. I made it like 2 seconds before we went live. So there, DynamicsCon. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. I think the DynamicsCon happening, coming up very soon. The URL is there on the slide. You can go visit. It's happening on March 16th or 15th and 16th. So it's a completely free event. And the reason it's top of mind for me is I am going to be presenting on March 16th in a panel talking about Dynamics 365 migrations and how to ensure that you have a successful migration. We're doing a couple of other things specific to migrations as well. So on Monday, I did an interview with MSDW, which is a magazine, if you're not familiar with it, that's doing an article. So I did that interview. And then we also have a separate podcast that we're going to be doing, or webinar, I guess, that we're doing with a panel. So we'll have links for all of that stuff coming up super soon. But if you're not already signed up for DynamicsCon, it's kind of a no-brainer because it's free and you can learn from all sorts of experts in the community, which I think is awesome. So I think you should go get signed up and, register, learn from your peers.
And the customer success day. Customer Success Day is kind of like a who's who in like the Microsoft product team almost. Like we've got a keynote from Charles Lamanna, who runs all of the BizApps team, but also lots of folks from the wider fast track and customer success programs. So it looks like a really interesting agenda that they've got for Customer Success Day. And I took a look at the regular Dynamics Con sessions as well, and it looks like there's some good ones out there.
Absolutely. I don't know, like if we've got any people out there that are registered, we'd love for you to share like what session you're most excited about. Or if we've got any presenters out there and you want to shamelessly plug your session, feel free to do that in the chat. We can put you on the spot. Hey, Chris. Good to see some familiar faces out there. So thanks all for joining us. So, the other random thing, it's not Dynamics related, but since this is just banter and we just take 30 minutes out of our Wednesday every day to do this, it's sitting on my desk. I've been turning wood on my lathe, and I finished a bowl this weekend, so I'm just going to share it on my screen here. So this is has nothing to do with Dynamics 365, but it's ambrosia maple. I'm calling it a vole. It's not a bowl. It's not a vase. It's a vole, because this opening here is only 1 3/4 inches wide. But I think it's really pretty, and I'm very proud of myself for making this. And that's my non-Dynamics top of mind thing for today. So thanks for that.
That's very cool.
You know what else? I know I've said it for the last couple of weeks. Is the I'm so excited for this business process guide, and we've kind of just started to get things really going out there for this. So we did an internal Let's Learn last week for all of the Fast Track team and the ACE team, where we did a call for volunteers. And in case some of you might have gone to the Partner Architect Community call that we had a few weeks back, or the MVP call that we had a few weeks back, and we announced that we were going to be publishing this thing out into the world. The draft version, which is out there and available for people to give feedback, is actually available. I'll just throw a quick URL in here. You can get to it super easily because I made an AKA link. I just have to remember to spell it correctly. It's called aka.ms/business process catalog.
And there's 2 S's at the end of business.
Yes. I kept typing it in and just repeatedly spelling it wrong. And I'm like, I'm fully aware that there are 2 S's in the word business at the end. So I'm going to put that up here on the screen. So you can actually go check this out. It's in GitHub. So you do have to sign in if you don't have an account for GitHub to be able to get to it. But super easy, quick for you to create an account out there. And then you can download that Excel spreadsheet and have a look at it. We are going to be publishing more guidance around this catalog, but we are looking for feedback. So if you want to give us feedback about this catalog, tell us what you don't like, tell us what we're missing, tell us what you would change. We would love to hear that feedback. You can send that in directly to me. You can actually, if you want to feel like super advanced, you can actually edit the file and submit it through a pull request if you're feeling super fancy. But if not, you can just shoot me an email. My email is rachel.profitt@microsoft.com. So it's my name. Pretty easy to remember. But that, I think, is so exciting.
Yeah, I think, and for anybody who isn't aware of what's going on here, Rachel is leading this initiative to take all of the 13 standard business processes like order to cash, procure to pay, and build out a catalog of documentation that is aimed at taking a business process approach to implementing biz apps solutions. And it's a different take than the way we normally look at product centric implementations. And one of the things that I personally am really excited about is the very granular level in this catalog would be patterns. And patterns are a scenario, and there are best practices, and there's which are patterns, and anti-patterns, which are not good practices and things people shouldn't do. And I think that that is kind of like, that's what makes an implementation work well or not work well. And to have all of that kind of information cataloged in one place and accessible is going to be, I think, really helpful for any implementation.
Yeah.
That the pattern, like, it's funny, Rachel, I don't think I've asked you about this one yet, but I had something that came up yesterday that actually is kind of like a pattern. And the scenario is, so if you're like, say you're Verizon and you sell iPhones, you buy iPhones from Apple when they're new and they're like, $1 million an iPhone, as they are when they come out first. And then down the line, when Apple releases the next model, they say, okay, our V-1 is now going to be $800 instead of $1 million, and you can't sell it for more. So that they call it like retail price protection, essentially, where the manufacturer controls the retail price.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's all of this fallout that comes from needing to say, okay, I have to change all of my sales trade agreements, I have to change my purchase trade agreements, I have to adjust the value of my on-hand inventory. There could be rebates involved. Like, so the scenario is this very real business requirement that makes sense why it happens. And to be honest, I don't think that there is one easy way to handle that in Dynamics. And I think it's a really good example of something that we could write a pattern for and say, here are all of the things. We do need a pattern for it because we don't have that kind of guidance in product documentation today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a great example of what a pattern would be. And we can certainly go forth and make the pattern. I know, like, when you started describing it, I was like, oh yeah, I've got some customers that have very similar scenarios, whether they are the manufacturer and kind of pushing that on their retailers, or on the flip side, they're the retailer and having those prices pushed down on them from a manufacturer. So I think that's super interesting. There is so much opportunity, I think, in this work with the business process catalog. And I'm so passionate about it because I think that taking this business process focus is kind of like, it's this next big step for us to kind of take our documentation to the next level. And I think the ability for this new body of documentation to, like, ease the pain of learning Dynamics 365 as a new consultant coming into the field, or learning new features if you've been in the field forever. But it's also an opportunity for a lot of our ISVs and partners to help us fill in the white space, right? And
I mean, I think about, like, when as functional consultants in an implementation or solution architects, you often go in and the customer says, well, I have this requirement, and you look up a document and you say, well, the system works this way or this way. So you can pick one of the ways the system works. And I'm sorry if it doesn't fully fit your requirement. But looking at it from a pattern perspective and a business process perspective looks at what is the value in doing it that way. Like, why do we do that? Like, when you look at hedging, right? Hedging isn't something that we have like a specific functionality for in Dynamics, although there are some ISVs that do work in the industry. But the idea that we're trying to, minimize our costs, that is a business value. Like, there's a reason we have a business process in place. And instead of coming in and going, we have a system and we're going to make you use our system the way it's built, it's looking at how do we creatively keep the value that the business has in their process today while still fitting them into like a framework that is only so flexible.
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head for me, but like multiply it by 1,800 business processes now that documented. Like I don't want to say documented. We have identified so far 1,800 business processes, and like this idea that all 1,800 business processes could have something like that is huge. But like it's a huge lift. Like we are going to need the community to help us with this. Like we can't do this alone.
Yeah.
And I think the opportunity for community to step up and show their expertise and make this whole dynamics space easier, faster, better. Like it's like that I think is like just as exciting to me as the actual documentation itself.
Yeah, I know. I think that's probably like the first thought is, wow, that's amazing. And then the second thought is, can you really do it?
Yeah, it's wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So if you're listening today and you want to get involved, you want to help out, you want to write some documentation, and we're working on kind of how we're going to give people credit and incentivize people. We've got a lot of reasons why you should help, but if you're interested, if you're just as excited as we are about it, don't hesitate to reach out.
Looks like we've got a question from Vishal in the chat. Rachel.
Yeah. Let me put it up. So thanks, Vishal, for joining us today and for the question. So Vishal says, can we assume that the business processes defined in the BPC or business process catalog list will align to FinOps processes, or is it general business processes? Would it be possible to speak a bit more on this? It looks so very interesting, as this can fill a big gap and enhance knowledge base for lots of people. Cheers. Thanks for the question. So it's a fantastic question. So what we did when we set out to build this catalog was the catalog is general business terminology, but the patterns and practices at level 4 map to the actual features and functionality, but it's not FinOps specific. It's all Dynamics 365 products. So when we set out to build this thing, we didn't want to make one catalog for CE apps and one catalog for FinOps, or one for finance and one for SCM. So it was super important to us.
Don't forget about Power Platform too.
Yeah, that we make one big giant catalog that is business savvy and makes sense. And so we've removed software terminology from levels 1, 2, and 3 of our catalog. So order to cash. And then at level 2 of the hierarchy, for organizing, we've created what we call business process areas. And it's just a logical way to kind of group things down. And so we've got 132 areas across the 13 end-to-end processes. And the basic idea is that each of these areas, and I'll give you an example in order to cash that we've already prototyped out, which is monitor customer credit and collections. So that's kind of the generic business process area. It consists of many different business processes. So that's level 2. And then at level 3, the prototype that we've built out already is set customer credit limits. So setting customer credit limits is just one of many business processes inside of monitoring customer credit and collections. Another one would be like, process collection letters or dunning letters. Another one would be like process interest for overdue accounts. Those would be examples. And then at the 4th level down, we have the actual patterns and practices. And the patterns and practices are where we're giving those specific use cases. So if we take that example of monitoring customer credit and collections, setting customer credit limits, we have 2 patterns that we've prototyped out. There's actually more than 2. There's actually 5 that we've identified so far for how to set and manage credit limits for a customer account. And one of them is just manually setting a credit limit. And the second pattern that we kind of prototyped out was setting a credit limit for a group of customers, just so we could kind of show, like, look, there's 2 ways to do this. There's actually more than 2 in this particular example, but where I kind of went all the way down that hierarchy. But that's the basic idea. And these docs articles, each level of the hierarchy has docs articles that go with it, along with process flow diagrams that we're still working out the exact technicalities of how you'll download them, but the actual diagrams will be downloadable so that partners and customers can go take those and enhance them, customize them to your specific business processes, because we're kind of giving you the happy path of this is how it works, but there's always going to be variation in people's business. So hopefully that kind of gives you a little bit more of insight into what that'll look like. So I'll put the banner back up because Arslan asked where it's at. So the catalog, which is in draft state right now that we're looking for feedback, can be found at aka.ms/business process catalog. You can download it. It's an Excel spreadsheet. Download it, have a look. There's a comments column, so you could just go type in a bunch of columns or comments rather, and send it back to us. You can email it. If you're feeling really advanced, you can actually, if you create your GitHub account, it is open source, so you can edit the file and then make a pull request, and then we'll get it that way. So whatever's easiest for you, we're happy to take your feedback on the catalog. We're hoping that our kind of first phase of the docs articles that will go with the catalog are going to be published towards the end of March. So that's what we're kind of shooting for right now. Obviously, all dates are subject to change, but
that's
that typical Microsoft
thing you've ever said, Rachel.
Yeah. Everything's subject to change, but that's kind of what we're shooting for. And it's just super exciting. Like, I'm so passionate about it, so excited about it. And every time I talk with people about it, I'm always even more excited to see that other people are excited about it. So
pop quiz, Rachel, name the 13 business processes in the catalog.
Oh, geez. Would you like them in alphabetical order or random order?
No, random order is fine. I think alphabetical is going to make
okay, so I know that acquire to dispose is first because it starts with an A.
Yeah.
Obviously forecast to plan, which is one that's near and dear to your heart. Mm-hmm. Prospect to quote.
Yeah.
Plan to produce.
4.
Record to report.
5.
Order to cash.
6. There's one that's like order to cash.
Service to cash, yeah. I was actually just going there. Service to cash. Hire to retire.
Yep.
Case to resolution.
That's 9. Project
to profit.
10.
Procure to pay.
11. Inventory to deliver.
Yeah, inventory to deliver. Product life cycle management.
And that's 13.
Not a this to that, but that's the name that we've landed on.
I think that's all 13.
Woohoo!
Good job.
I got them all.
Yeah, so I think it's really exciting. And I look forward to seeing how it all turns out.
Yeah. It looks like Vishal commented. I'm looking at the list right now. Did he miss any? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, it looks like you got them all in the comments. Awesome. There they all are. The 13 standard end-to-end processes that we will be documenting.
And we are also
hopefully with your help, like all of you.
Oh yeah, with everyone's help. And I think one of the things that it's not just going to be this catalog. I think we're trying to also introduce this kind of thought, this mentality into other places. So in the production control overview session that we're doing next week, we're going to say what is planned to produce, and we'll talk through the 6 what you call business process areas. So I like that we're not just building that repository, but trying to, on a whole, look at it through the business process angle.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the tech talks, like obviously yours is the first one that's kind of aligning to it, but a lot of our deep dive workshops are going to align to it.
Yeah, that's
and guidance in the implementation portal will align to it. So there's so much, like.
Yeah, I think we should talk about what what we've done for implementation workshops. So last week we talked a little bit about what Fast Track is, and Fast Track has kind of with our full Fast Track customers, we operate through kind of a workshop engagement model, and you do the solution blueprint review, which is the general what's going on here. Tell me a little bit about everything, and that is something that you can do through, or you either can do or will be able to do through the implementation portal as well. And after that, there are what we call like deep dive workshops that you can do that focus on specific areas that have more risks or are a bit more complex. And we went about adding basically business process specific implementation workshops. So I'm really excited to see that same mentality of talk to me about your whole process, and then tying in kind of the patterns. The documentation that we're doing is also going to be reflected in the guidance that we have, or we want your answer on how you're doing this part of the process. And essentially we're creating our own feedback loop to keep adding patterns to the documentation that's available to everyone. So yeah, I think it's just great.
It is. We've got a few minutes left, so you can sneak in any more questions that you might have, or if there's a topic that you guys want us to take up next week, feel free to put those in the comments, or if you think of something midweek, you can always come back and comment. We do check on those. It was super exciting, actually. I went back and looked at the statistics from last week. So we had 25 people attend the live event, which was awesome. Like, it was only our 3rd week doing it. I was like, wow, we went from like 2 to 25 in 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, that is super awesome. And then looking at the analytics of it, we had more than 700 views of our video from 600 people. So of the recording, like after the fact. So super cool. Thank you everyone for all of your support out there, like watching and showing up for this. It seems like people like it. So, thanks for showing up. And if people keep showing up, then I guess we'll keep showing up and keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we're right at the top of the hour, so I think we'll probably call it a wrap for today. So, thank you everyone for joining us. We appreciate your support. And we'll see you next time on Top of Mind live with Ann and Rachel. Bye all.